All right, that should work better. A few more people are kind of just starting to get into here real quick. So we'll go ahead and get started though. Again, thank you for joining us. It's the weekly briefing at 2 p.m. Thursday, October 3rd. My name is Christopher over here at the Slidell office. Been a quick minute since I've done one of these Thursday briefings, so glad to be back on it. The forecast looks to be pretty good for the most part. I mean, it does look be a little wet, especially for the southern half of our area. Uh, Later today, tonight, and tomorrow, and then most of the rain really should be confined close to the coast on Saturday and especially Sunday. And then after that, we look to have a pretty good forecast next week. So going to the second slide. As just mentioned a little while ago, most of the impacts we'll see are really in the next 48 to 72 hours. Uh, don't have a radar that I'm showing right now, but if you have a chance to look at radar, most of the rain's currently really just along the Louisiana coast from about Houma to Myrtle Grove and south. That is going to continue to start slowly expand inland with rain likely remaining confined to areas along the south of the I-10-12 corridors throughout most of this forecast period. There could be some locally heavy rain along the immediate Louisiana coast, especially like Plaquemines Parish, maybe extreme southern portions of Jefferson and Lafourche Parish. But overall, everywhere else looks to have just some rain if you get rain. Places like Macomb up in southwest Mississippi, close to its Baton Rouge area, may not see much in rain at all, but we'll probably see a little bit at least tomorrow. Other than that, good news is tropical disturbance that we've been kind of this area we've been watching over the Gulf of Mexico. That those probabilities have continued to decrease. They're now down to 30%. We'll have that on the next slide. So that is a very positive news. Likely won't see much in the way of any tropical development. There should still be a weak area of low pressure in the Gulf of Mexico, and that will aid in giving us a few of those impacts that we're kind of keeping an eye on, which is mainly for anybody who's got any boating or marine, interest this weekend, along with some minor coastal flooding. Just typical problem areas around like Waveland area in Hancock County, Shell Beach. Those would be the areas that have the best chance of seeing some minor coastal flooding. Otherwise, if you are heading to the beach this weekend, but it's actually out of our area, more towards Alabama and Florida, these stronger winds will cause some rip current issues. So just need to keep a close eye on that if you do go to the beach. Otherwise, everything around here seems to be okay. Cold front does move through. Looks like early next week, especially. It looks like mainly like Monday afternoon, maybe evening. And behind that looks slightly cooler air and definitely much drier air behind it. Going to that tropical weather outlook, like I mentioned, the area over the Gulf of Mexico, it's highlighted. It's dropped down to 30% now over the next 7 days. Again, it doesn't really look like conditions are going to be favorable for any development. And with that cold front starting to approach the area, it really should keep anything of any concern to our south, but it likely won't see much in the way of development. It's just going to see low pressure cause a tightening of the pressure gradient, which leads to those marine and coastal flooding, possible coastal flooding issues we mentioned a little while ago. Quick look at the forecast. As mentioned earlier, you can see the rain really confined to the coast. I mean, WPC in our forecast really shows maybe some light rain getting into southwest Mississippi and Baton Rouge. That said, it's most of the rains are really along the south of the I-10-12 corridors, with some of the more heavier rain probably along just the immediate Louisiana coast. Could sneak into coastal Mississippi like Jackson County, but good chance it could stay just south over the Marine Sound, Mississippi Sound, and those coastal waters. And if you look towards the next image, which is basically 7 a.m. Sunday, you can see we got that stalled boundary right there across the middle of Gulf. That's where we'd see some low pressure kind of develop, but you can see the precipitation is well to our south, and you see those lines with the blue arrows coming down. You got one that's coming out of the Appalachians, but the stronger one, more important one, is the one that's coming across Kansas and crossing into Oklahoma. On that one, it's going through Missouri. That one should move into our area late Monday. And with that, as it passes through, we will definitely see much drier conditions and some slightly cooler conditions. So next week looks to be a relatively pleasant week with no impacts to speak of. The rainfall forecast, I really wanted to show this just to kind of give you an idea of really where our rain is expected, which is the next 48, really the next 48 hours, maybe 60 hours. As you can see, most of that heavy rain is south of New Orleans. It's really just along the immediate Louisiana coast. So Plaquemines Parish, lower portions of Jefferson, lower portions of Lafourche, and maybe even lower portions of Terrebonne as well could see some heavier rain. Some areas unlucky could get between 3 and 6 inches over the next few days. However, I would definitely think the higher rainfall totals would be more isolated, and especially along the immediate coast. You go to the north, you don't have to go very much further, and those rainfall totals really drop off. You'll be looking around Baton Rouge and Macomb, maybe looking for 1/10 of an inch. So areas across coastal Mississippi, looking at probably under an inch of rain over the next 60 hours. There's, can't rule out 1 or 2 stronger showers that kind of give some isolated areas of higher rain. Otherwise, it's pretty quiet. But you look at that next image, rainfall after Saturday night, and you can see most of our rain's really in the next 60 hours. Wanted to bring this up real quick because this is one of the impacts we are concerned with. Not major, it's just some tidal issues. Again, mainly those problem areas around Hancock County, around Waveland, Bay St. Louis area, and Shell Beach. As you can see, on these 2 images we're looking at the MLLW, mean lower low water. And as you can see with Waveland, generally when this graph gets to about 3.2 is when they start to have problems. And then that shaded area is kind of the we'll look at possible, errors. So it's showing the 90 to 10%. And with these stronger winds, I wouldn't be surprised to kind of get to that higher end of that shaded area. And that looks to be like Sunday night, Monday morning. So they could see tides maybe get up to about 3.5, 3.6 on the gauge when referencing MLLW. And that would definitely cause some minor issues in that area. Kind of same thing with Shell Beach. As you can see, looks like Monday morning is probably going to be the worst. We do get into that increasing, as you look at the blue line, that is the increasing astronomical tide. And with that, along with the strengthening wind field out of the east, start to push some water into these areas. So that's about the only impact we really have over this weekend outside of probable small craft advisory conditions. So if you're going on a boat, just be prepared for pretty bumpy conditions out there. The 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, as you can see with that cold front coming through early next week, it's near normal is what we're expecting. So it's going to be at least pleasant for our area. But going to the next one, which is the rainfall outlook, you can see we're not really expecting much in the way of rain. Definitely leaning towards below normal. And as you can look up to our north, likely below normal. So we're definitely going to see some drier air move in. And which is kind of typical. We're in October. It's typically our driest month of the year, and this is when we'll start to see cold fronts a little bit more often, and the likelihood of getting some heavy rain start to really drop unless we have to deal with any tropical systems. Fingers crossed. And that is pretty much it. Just a real quick summary. Again, most of our impacts expected over the next 48 to 72 hours. Looking for some rain increase, especially across the southern half of the area. The northern half of the area, probably going to miss out on most of the rain. Tropical development continues to decrease. It's now down to 30% over the Gulf of Mexico. However, we should still see weak area of low pressure, which would then lead to those hazardous boating conditions, along with some minor coastal flooding issues. And then we have that cold front that comes through early next week. Looks like sometime Monday should bring us some slightly cooler air, but definitely bring us some much drier air. So look for those much more pleasant conditions overnight. Allow us to cool off at night with some decent morning lows. That is it on my end. I will unmute everybody. You have to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question, but we'll open it up here if there's any questions.
No, that was on me.
Area over in the Bay St. Louis and Wayland area, when can we expect our heaviest rain?
The heaviest rain is probably going to be tomorrow and tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Okay. All right, I appreciate it.
No problem. Anybody else? All right, nothing heard. We've already emailed the PDF, so you should have the briefing on hand already. We'll upload it to our webpage, and then the recording will be uploaded shortly as well. Obviously, if you have any questions, concerns, or you got anything you need help with, weather support, don't hesitate to give us a call. Y'all have a great day. Have a really good weekend.